But yeah, regarding picking your main character in this game, because this is a pretty common question I get, like, who do I decide what character to main and so on. And I feel like if you're unsure what character to main, you should try to narrow it down as much as possible. Like, what character do you think are fun characters to play? If you don't even know that part, I feel like you should go online, look up matches from like good players playing the game. What characters do you think might suit your style? Ask yourself, like, what type of play style do I think I want to play with? Do I think I want to play more like aggressively, more defensively, projectiles, no projectiles, sword characters, no sword character, you know, and so on. A lot of people also have the mindset that they are asking, like, is this character viable? I'll be like entirely honest. As long as you aim to be super good at the game, I don't really think characters matter too much. I think for 99% of the people that even go to tournaments, at least 90% of those people that go to tournaments, their character don't really matter. It's mainly at like the highest level and like a little bit below that where I feel like characters truly matter. So if you don't aim to become super good at a game, I feel like you should just play with every character you have the most fun with. Like, I see people that, you know, like struggle at like small locals and they're like, oh, is my character good enough? That's like the last question you should ask yourself if you're struggling at small locals, if your character is viable. Especially when it's a new game like this, where we don't really even know what characters are, you know, the most viable, best, worst, entirely. So yeah, look up pros that are playing if you have a hard time selecting character at all. If you have a few characters and you feel like they're equally as fun, then I'll probably try to look at it from a perspective like, what characters do I want to play most likely long term? Could I see myself playing this character like a year from now, 2 years from now? And also try to not have too many characters. Unless you're like a pretty good player, I would recommend to have one, at most two. I think this character or this game will be pretty counter pick heavy, so having 2 or even 3 characters can be good long term. But I think in order to get to a pretty good level, I think it's easier to play 1 character at first. And then once you are at that level, you can add a 2nd or 3rd character to your roster. So yeah, that's pretty much my mentality about it. What made me leave Mewtwo? I like Mewtwo. I think Mewtwo is a fun and good character. It's just like a lot of the things I find fun with Mewtwo, I feel like Inkling gives me that as well, if that makes sense. Like, Mewtwo is pretty good conversion. Like Mewtwo, for example, very good off stage. Inkling gives me that as well. And movement is good by Mewtwo, but I feel like Inkling have even better movement. So it's like, they do have a lot of similarities, but I feel like the things I like with Mewtwo, Inkling does give me that. And I also find Inkling's punish game to most likely long-term be more interesting for me. Elrob, I'll be more than surprised if it's not gonna be matchups where Inkling also struggles. But currently, some matchups I do think could be hard for Inkling. Is Peach / Daisy. I think Pikachu and Pichu might be. Yoshi might be. Some people mention Fox, quite a few Inklings. I'm not really sure what I think about that. But, you know, might be something there. Yeah, that's true. Living in Florida is probably the best place in the world if you want to get good at this game. Peach Daisy, really strong, really strong. One of quite many contenders for best in the game. But like, people that are here in the stream, like, you know, on a regular basis at least, they know that, like, all things I say, all things you hear anyone say about this game regarding characters, don't take it like too serious, you know? Like, the game is new, we don't know. Will I try Piranha Plant? Yeah, sure. Like, when the character comes out, I want to test Piranha Plant. I heard the character is gonna be the slowest in the game, which is a bit disappointing. Because when I saw the trailer, I was just like, I found it pretty funny that Piranha Plant makes it to Smash, right? And I kind of like wanted to have Piranha Plant as, you know, one of my characters, possibly, you know, because it would just be so troll to beat people with fucking Piranha Plant. But yeah, if the character is that slow, I know it's not gonna be a character for me. No, you can buy Piranha Plant. It's like if you buy the game early, you can get the character for free, you know. Like you can, it's included pretty much. But for people that don't have the game now, or whatever, they can buy the character for like $5 or whatever. So that will not be an issue. I have said though, and I think this is something people might disagree with, or at least last time I brought this up, it seemed to have been like pretty divided in terms of how people were thinking. But I think if Piranha Plant gets released, I think we should have a certain period of time that before you can actually play the character, at big tournaments at least. Like, let's say Piranha Plant gets released the day before Genesis. I don't think you should be able to play the character in tournament. I'm not sure exactly what a good middle ground would be, but I don't think like playing a character at a like super important tournament if it gets released the day before or so. If I would have to give like an estimation, I think probably something like a week and a half or 2 weeks is enough time. But yeah, if people decide in 1 week, I probably wouldn't try to fight it. I just think if it's like a few days, I feel like that would be a bit too short. Well, actually, Ajax, Nintendo is not gonna take majors into consideration when they release patches or new characters. And even if they did, it's tournaments going on at all times, so they'll also have to be more, you know, invested into like knowing like the importance of each tournament. I would like Nintendo to be supportive of tournaments, period. Their sponsorship is basically a logo on the stream, and we get more ads, which is what people don't even like. Or actually maybe not more ads, but it's ads, Nintendo ads. It was one time at, I think it was, yeah, Genesis 3. I was teaming with Mewtwo, and we had to wait for our tournament set to be played on stream. It was like me, Mewtwo, and whatever team we were playing against. We were waiting for, you know, like the signal from the streamers that we could start the set. And they started playing like some Zelda ads or something. And I was like, yo, Mewtwo, look, Nintendo sponsorship. And he was just laughing, and then he started punching me like this. That's how every Mewtwo story ends. Do I ever play Ultimate in handheld mode? I have never done it, but I would probably bring my Switch when I travel. I just gotta make sure not to make the same mistake again, because this is actually my second Switch. It was after one of my trips to the US when I was coming back home. And a lot of times when I go to the US or back home, but especially if I go there, but sometimes if I go back home, I stay awake the entire night, basically so I can sleep on the flight. Because a lot of people there are like, oh, I can never sleep on flights when they have been awake for like, you know, 10 hours or something. But what I do is that I normally stay awake for a super long time, and then I can, you know, I'm tired to the point where I can't keep my eyes open. And then I can sleep on the most of the flight. I wake up every now and then, you know. That's to be expected. But I get a lot of sleep overall, even if it's not amazing sleep. But then one time I was so tired at the airport, and I forgot my backpack at the airport, and it had my Switch inside. And I was pretty sad. I didn't really had like, you know, save files or anything, but like, it's just like annoying to buy a new Switch, stuff like that. Yeah, it can be a bit annoying to stream, mainly for an audience that is like many hours behind our time zone. But honestly, I don't mind too much. During the winter, it can be a little bit annoying, because it gets dark here early during winter. But for the most part, like every type of job have pros and cons. And honestly, if you can live off streaming, I think the pros is so much more than the cons. So I would just feel like a spoiled little kid if I started like complaining, like oh, it's like so bad. It's like, oh guys, it's so bad. You know, I wake up, I decide whatever hours I want to work, and I play video games that I like to play for a living, you know? It's like, sure, like everything can always be better, but I don't know. I don't think it's like a good thing to, you know, complain an unreasonable amount, especially when it's already so good. Oh, that was bad.